All right, let's talk about law of cosines. Law of cosines is what we can use for non-right triangles when we do not have a side and an angle across from it. And there are actually 3 different versions of law of cosines. They're actually the same, so I don't want you to panic about that. They're exactly the same equation. It just depends on how you've labeled your triangle. Okay? So, I'll keep those at the top of the screen so we can look at them as we do this first problem. So in this first problem, you'll notice we do not have a side and an angle across from it. In fact, we have an angle and we have the 2 sides surrounding that angle. So if you look at your chart here, there's no ratio for us to use law of sines. Okay? But let's just say I want to solve for side C, which is this side over here. Okay, opposite the 60-degree angle. Well, I can write out law of cosines. C squared equals A squared plus B squared minus 2AB cosine of angle C. And I'm going to fill in everything that I have. I know what side A is. I know what side B is. And I also know what angle C is. Okay, so the kind of cool thing here is because I have all this information, let's see if I can get all of this on my screen for you at one time. I can type all of this into my calculator at one time. Okay, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. So in my calculator over here, I am going to type in 2 squared plus 3 squared minus 2 times 3 times cosine of 60 degrees. Okay? Let me move this so you can see the whole screen. Okay? And I'm going to hit enter, and it's going to give me this answer. Oh, shooty patooties, I hit it twice, didn't I? Let's see, 2 squared plus 3 squared minus 2 times 2 times 3 cosine, ooh no, did it again, of 60 degrees. Okay? Huh, exactly 7. That's just crazy. So, is that what C equals? No, that's what C squared is. Okay, so to get C by itself, I need to take the square root. So I'm going to go square root of, now here's another thing. If this is just a 7, it's easy. I could just type 7. But let's say this is a crazy long number here with lots of decimals. I can hit the up arrow so that that 7 is highlighted, hit enter, and it brings it right down for me. All right, so for side C, I get 2.6. Okay, so now I have got, let's see, let's say we want to find angle A. Well, I'm going to use the law of cosines. There's only one that includes angle A. So look at that chart up at the top of your page. I'm going to write down the only one that includes angle A, and I'm going to start filling in the blanks. 2 squared equals 3 squared plus 2.6 squared minus 2 times 2.6 times cosine of angle A. Now I know we talked about this in class. You have to be very, very careful. These 2 things here have to be subtracted from both sides. So I've got 2 squared minus 3 squared minus 2.6 squared. And if you want to put that in your calculator, or if you did and you're doing this along with me and you want to check your answer, that's negative 11.76. Equals, you've still got a negative 2 times 2.6 times cosine of angle A. And if you put that into your calculator and you want to follow along with me here, you've got negative 10.4. So now I divide this from both sides, and angle A is going to be inverse cosine of negative 11.76 divided by negative 10.4. You could make that positive, of course. Okay, so just to remind you, in your calculator, that means you are going to do second cosine of negative 11.76 divided by negative 10.4. By the way, and some of you guys learned this on your quiz, but missing a minus sign makes a big, big, big difference, okay? So you have to be really, really careful. Okay, so this has happened to several of you. When we get this error, what does that mean? That means you have probably made a mistake somewhere. So let's go back and look at our equation, and you guys probably caught this, didn't you? Okay, right here for side B, I wrote a 2, and what should I have written? A 3. So you might be thinking to yourself, how could that make such a big difference? But it really, really does. You have to be very, very careful because that changes this number quite a bit. Negative 2 times 3 times 2.6 is negative 15.6. Okay, and then when I divide that on both sides, I get the inverse cosine of negative 11.76 divided by negative 15.6. So let's try that on our calculator. Okay, inverse cosine of negative 11.76 divided by negative 15.6. Okay, and we get, let's round that to 41 degrees. Okay, so be very careful. Some of those errors that you guys were getting when you were finding angles comes from either missing a minus sign, plugging in a little number 2 just incorrectly. Okay, so be really, really careful. Sometimes it's a blessing because you can find your mistake when you get an error like that. And then we don't have to do law of cosines again because we can add these two angles together, 41 and 60, subtract from 180, and we get 79 degrees. Okay? All right, let's do another one. For this one, we have got all 3 sides and no angles whatsoever. So we can pick any law of cosines we want. So I'm going to pick the one that includes angle A. And I'm going to solve for angle A. So I'm going to plug in what I've got here. 4 squared equals 3 squared plus 6 squared minus 2 times 3 times 6 times cosine of angle A. And I'm going to give you a chance to pause your video and type this in and see and check and make sure that you get it right. So go ahead and pause your video. All right, and you should get 36, we'll round to the nearest whole number, so 36 degrees for angle A. All right, let's do law of cosines again. This time let's find angle B. A squared plus C squared minus 2AC cosine of angle B. Okay, so let's plug in what we have. 3 squared equals 4 squared plus 6 squared minus 2 times 4 times 6 times cosine of angle B. So again, I'm going to give you a chance to pause your video. Go ahead and type this in and see if you get the same answer that I will get. And I got, we'll round to the nearest whole number again, 26 degrees. Okay, so if we add those together and subtract from 180, we don't have to do law of cosines again. We get angle C is 118 degrees. Okay, let's do a word problem. This is our last one. The distance from home plate to the fence in dead center of a certain baseball field is 395 feet. So here you've got home plate. Here's the fence, 395 feet. Okay, third base is over here somewhere. And we want to know how far it is from the fence to dead center of third base. So this is the side we're looking for. So seemingly we don't have enough information, except that they do tell us that from home to third is 90 feet. And you might say, wait, Miss Welsh, I have no angles. Well, you're right, but remember, a baseball diamond is really a square on its side, and so when we cut from home to second right in half, you get a 45 degree angle. Half of 90 is 45, okay? So Think about your law of cosines. You've got x squared equals your two sides, 90 squared plus 395 squared minus 2 times 90 times 395 times cosine of the angle between those two sides. Okay, and I'm going to show you something cool. So in your calculator, you can actually type all this in at one time. Okay, so you can go square root of 90 squared plus 395 squared minus 2 times 90 times 395 times cosine of 45. Oh, shooty patooties, it did it again. Let's see if we can get rid of one of these. There we go. Okay, and hit enter. So you have put in the square root and you have put everything under the square root. So in only one step, you get your answer of 337.4. Okay? You certainly don't have to do it all in one step, but it's kind of nice. You don't have to keep up with big numbers along the way. You can just put it all in at once. Okay? Just don't forget the square root. Okay? If you have any other trouble with law of cosines, you can look to the members of your class that taught you this lesson. This is our most recent lesson. Okay, I genuinely hope you guys do well on your test. I'll be thinking about you while I'm gone. When I get back, you can tell me how it went, and we'll talk about it, and I'll grade it, and we'll get back to some more trig. Okay, see you guys soon.